I'm Samantha. I'm 30 years old and 2 months ago, I won $1.5 million from a scratch-off ticket I almost didn't buy. It was a Tuesday. Gray skies. Bills due. I was filling my tank with just enough gas to last until payday when I grabbed a soda and added a $20 lottery ticket on impulse. You never know, the cashier smiled. Nope. You don't, I replied, not thinking twice about it. That night, I scratched it off in my tiny apartment with a half-eaten microwave dinner and a flickering lamp on the nightstand. The first number matched. Then another. By the time I revealed the final winning symbol, I was frozen in place, breath caught in my throat. $1.5 million. Not a joke. Not a typo. I scanned the code. Confirmed the numbers online. Even had a clerk at the local lottery office double-check it. It was real. They gave me a giant ceremonial check for photos. But the actual winnings? They'd be deposited electronically after a short verification process. I met with a financial advisor. Locked everything down. I wasn't buying yachts. I had plans. Pay off my student loans, buy a house, invest, maybe take a solo trip somewhere quiet. And then I made a mistake. I told my family. My mom gasped. My dad hugged me. And my younger brother Tyler? He grinned like it was his name on the ticket. This is amazing, Sam. We're set, he cheered. We. I said carefully. My dad's smile faded. You're not seriously planning to keep all of it for yourself. I laughed, thinking it was a joke. Yes. I won it. Tyler scratched his neck, feigning humility. I mean, even just half would change my life. It's not like I'm asking for everything. I stared at him. You're not asking. You're assuming. You know Tyler's been trying to get his business off the ground, Mom added quickly. He just needs a hand. Tyler's business was a hobby-turned-hustle that had failed 3 times in 2 years. T-shirt printing. Drop shipping. A podcast about crypto he didn't understand. I'm not saying I won't help, I said calmly. But I'm not giving half to anyone. The atmosphere shifted. Tension filled the room like smoke. After everything we've done for you, my father said coldly, this is how you treat family? What you've done for me? I asked. I've been on my own since college. You've bailed Tyler out 5 times and told me to tough it out. Don't be dramatic, my mom snapped. That night I left feeling angry. Disappointed. But it got worse. 3 days later I came home and found my father and Tyler standing in my apartment, near my coffee table where flames flickered from a metal trash can. My ceremonial check was burning. If you won't share, my dad said, you won't get a penny. And that's when I started laughing. Because they had no idea what they'd really just done. They froze. You think this is funny? Tyler snapped, dropping the lighter. Oh, absolutely, I said, walking into the room. What's so funny about destroying your check? My dad asked, confused. That oversized check? I pointed at the ashes. It's for photo ops. A souvenir. The real payout is processed electronically. Their faces dropped. You're lying, Tyler stammered. I pulled out my phone and opened my email. Lottery funds. $1,492,300. Pending transfer. Confirmed. Practed. Digital. My mom, who just entered, stopped cold when she heard that. You broke into my home, I said slowly, and burned a piece of cardboard thinking it was your leverage. All you destroyed was a souvenir, and any chance of being part of my life moving forward. But we're your family, my mom cried. And family doesn't manipulate or break into someone's apartment, I snapped. Family doesn't assume they're entitled to someone else's win. They stared at me, realizing the depth of their mistake. My voice was calm now. You didn't burn my fortune. But you torched every ounce of trust one had left. That night I changed my locks, called my lawyer, and started the paperwork for a no-contact order. But what happened next? What they tried to do when the money finally hit my account. That's the twist you won't see coming. The funds hit my account the following Tuesday. After taxes, my bank balance showed $1,492,300.41. I stared at it for a long time. It didn't feel real. Not yet. But the feeling of freedom? That was already beginning to settle in. I transferred most of the funds to an investment account under my financial advisor's supervision. I paid off my student loans that same morning. Then I ordered takeout from a restaurant I used to walk past but could never afford. No champagne, no designer shoes. Just silence, satisfaction, and a bowl of $38 pad thai. It lasted 4 days. On Friday morning, a thick envelope arrived via certified mail. The sender? Tyler Harrison. My brother. Inside, a formal lawsuit notice. Filed in state civil court. He was suing me for intentional financial harm, claiming I emotionally manipulated him into believing he'd receive a portion of the winnings, and that I breached familial obligations by refusing to share. I laughed out loud. Then I cried. He'd actually found a lawyer, probably one of those low-rent firms that advertise during daytime talk shows, to help him draft a case based on entitlement. My own brother. I sent it to my attorney immediately. She called me that afternoon, amused but firm. This won't go anywhere, she assured me. But we'll respond professionally. Keep your texts. Don't post about it online. And do not engage. But the damage had been done. The last of my childhood illusions, the idea that maybe my brother loved me underneath the drama, that maybe my parents just needed time, was gone. I wasn't just defending money anymore. I was defending my peace. 2 weeks passed. My lawyer filed a formal motion to dismiss Tyler's lawsuit. In the meantime, I laid low. I went to work. I finalized the purchase of a modest 2-bedroom home on the edge of town. Secure. Quiet. Then Rachel called. Hey. I got a weird message from your mom. What kind of weird? She asked if I knew your new address. Said she was concerned and wanted to drop off some things. Pause. She even offered me money. My heart dropped. Rachel had been my best friend since college. She'd helped me file my taxes, picked me up drunk at 3 a.m., and cried with me through every breakup. I trusted her. And to be clear, Rachel didn't give her the address. But someone else did. That Sunday when I got home from the grocery store, a car was parked in my driveway. My dad's car. The moment I pulled in, he got out. My mother followed. And Tyler, standing in the background like a sulking statue, watched from the passenger seat. You gave us no choice, my mom said before I could speak. I didn't unlock my door. I didn't say a word. We're trying to fix this, my dad added. This has gotten out of hand. I raised an eyebrow. You mean the lawsuit? He ignored the comment. We want to propose something fair. A family trust. You keep control, but you set aside 30% for Tyler's future. That way. No, I said, cutting him off. You're not coming into my life through the back door. You're being unreasonable, my mother snapped. You wouldn't even have this money if not for us raising you. Actually, I replied, voice flat, I wouldn't be fighting for it if not for you. That's when Tyler stepped forward, voice low. You've changed, Sam. Money's made you cold. No, I said. Money made you show me who you really are. And with that, I turned and walked inside, locked the door, and filed for a restraining order the next day. A month later, the court dismissed Tyler's lawsuit. Lack of evidence. Frivolous intent. Case closed. I thought that would be the end of it. But what happened next? Well, that was my move. I donated $80,000, the exact amount Tyler claimed he needed, to a women's transitional housing nonprofit in our city. The funds were used to expand education programs, open a new shelter, and provide job training for survivors of family abuse and financial control. The press caught wind of it. They asked for a quote. I said this. Sometimes the family you're born into isn't where you're meant to give. Sometimes the real family is the one you build through boundaries, empathy, and action. That quote made its way into the local paper. My mom saw it. So did Tyler. They didn't call again. And in the stillness that followed, I sat on my new porch with Rachel, watching the sunset. No noise. No guilt. No one else's expectations. Just the wind. The quiet. And the understanding that I hadn't just won the lottery. I had won myself. It arrived in a plain white envelope with no return address. At first, I thought it was another veiled message from Tyler or my mother. I almost didn't open it. But curiosity won. Inside was a short handwritten letter. Slanted cursive. Deliberate. Familiar. If you're reading this, you've come into something big. And I need to tell you the truth before someone else spins it. It was signed. Aunt Valerie. My father's estranged sister. The one we never talked about. The one I was told moved to find herself, after some mysterious family feud. I hadn't seen her since I was 10. The letter went on. Years ago your grandfather left something behind. Second will. One that changed the inheritance. Your dad found it. He destroyed it. Because in that version the family house, the business, the savings, they were meant for you. Not him. I tried to fight him on it but your mother helped him hide it. I have copies. And if you're ready to know everything I'll show you. I sat at my kitchen table stunned. My heart raced, not from anger but clarity. Maybe this wasn't just about the lottery. Maybe they'd been taking from me my whole life. No. I had the power to confront it all. It took me 3 days to track her down. Valerie lived in a quiet coastal town 2 hours from me, in a cottage she'd renovated herself. She opened the door with a look that said, "I knew you'd come." She hugged me tightly. "You look like your grandfather," she said. "Not your dad. That's a good thing." Inside, her home was warm, cluttered with books and soft blankets. She handed me a folder, aged documents, notarized statements, and most damning of all, a copy of the will. I read the first page and felt my stomach turn. Everything my grandfather had owned, his real estate, his retirement fund, even the family home, was originally designated for me. Not my dad. Not my brother. Me. He changed it in the last 6 months of his life, Valerie explained. After watching how they treated you. He wanted you protected. But your dad found the amended version first. He shredded it and submitted the old one. She looked down. I tried to fight it. But I didn't have enough money for a real lawyer. And I was cut off for even trying. All those years. All those times I asked myself why I felt so unseen. Why I always got less. Why everything was so tight, for me but never for Tyler. It wasn't just favoritism. It was theft. And suddenly, the burned check, the lawsuit, the manipulation, it all made sense. This wasn't just about a lottery. It was about a pattern. One they thought they'd buried. I had every reason to burn them back. To take this evidence and file a lawsuit of my own. To expose them. To take the house. The accounts. The inheritance that was rightfully mine. But I didn't. Instead I called a lawyer. A good one. And together we filed a quiet motion to have the will reevaluated. I didn't want revenge. I wanted what was fair. The court date was set. The subpoena was delivered to my father personally. According to Aunt Valerie, he nearly collapsed when he opened it. 3 days before the hearing he called. I let it go to voicemail. "Samantha, we need to talk. Please. Let's not do this. It was complicated, your grandfather. He didn't know what he was doing." That was a lie. And I didn't need to listen to lies anymore. I showed up to court with my lawyer, my documents, and a calm resolve. They showed up angry, disheveled, and scrambling. The judge took one look at the evidence and ordered an official inquiry. Bank accounts were frozen. Property titles were halted. Suddenly, I wasn't the selfish daughter anymore. I was the rightful heir. And the only person in the room who had never lied. Outside the courthouse, I saw Tyler standing alone, hands in his pockets, eyes dark with something that looked a lot like shame. He didn't speak. Neither did I. And as I stepped into my car, the weight I'd carried for years finally lifted. I hadn't just won a lottery. I'd taken back everything they tried to erase. The legal review of the forged will didn't take long. Turns out shredding a will leaves behind more than confetti. My father hadn't counted on digital backups, prior notary stamps, and, most damning of all, his own emails to a family lawyer trying to clarify inheritance terms after my grandfather's death. When the ruling came down, it was swift and final. The estate was returned to me. Not just the house I was never allowed to visit as a teen. Not just the savings account I never knew existed. Everything. I inherited my grandfather's home, his investment portfolio, and the remainder of his pension. More than I'd ever imagined. In total, my net worth now exceeded $3.7 million. I could have thrown a press conference. I could have humiliated them. But instead, I quietly released a public statement through my lawyer. This was never about revenge. It was about respect, for myself and for the man who wanted better for me. I only took what was always mine. My mother didn't respond. My father moved in with a cousin 3 towns over. And Tyler? He deactivated his social media accounts and vanished from view. But for me, something bigger happened. Something real. 3 months later, I stood barefoot in a small garden behind a cozy house I'd renovated with Aunt Valerie's help. Rachel officiated the wedding. My dress was soft champagne tulle with embroidered ivy trailing the hem. No ballroom. No chandelier. Just strings of warm lights. Garden roses. Laughter. And Malik. My partner, my quiet supporter since the lawsuit began, holding my hands with eyes full of love and tears. Yes, Malik. We had reconnected during those long weeks when everything was unraveling. What started as a coffee catch-up turned into dinners, late-night drives, deep talks about trust, and, eventually, love. He didn't care about the money. He cared about me. Aunt Valerie walked me down the aisle. After the ceremony, we danced under the stars, surrounded by friends who had stayed through the darkest storms. I had never felt more whole. And just as the music slowed and the cake was being served, Rachel handed me something. A sealed envelope. Yellowed slightly around the edges. I found this in the bottom of my glove compartment. I think it's yours. Confused, I opened it. Inside was a letter. From my grandfather. Dear Sam, it began. If you're reading this, then somehow you've made it to the truth. I always feared your father wouldn't honor my final wishes, so I left this letter behind with someone I hoped would do the right thing eventually. He had written it 6 months before he died. It spoke of regrets, how he hadn't spoken up more, how he'd seen the way they treated me like I was second class. You were always the light in the room, Samantha. The one who listened. The one who cared. I didn't want you to just have my money. I wanted you to have peace. I wiped my eyes. Malik came over and wrapped his arm around me. At the end of the letter, my grandfather left one final message. This wealth isn't just money. It's freedom. Use it to create the life you were denied. To build the home you deserve. And when people come asking for forgiveness, make sure they've earned it. That night I danced barefoot just like I had always dreamed. And I realized something profound. They hadn't just forgotten my birthday. They had forgotten who I was, and now they would never define me again. The fortune didn't change me. It revealed me. And I would never go back.